some athletes, they define a game. Others, maybe they define a whole generation. But every once in a while, someone comes along who is just so much more than an athlete. They become this global icon, a business mogul, a real social force. And their story, it's not just about sports anymore. It's a story that basically defines an entire era of our lives.
Okay, look at this number, $1 billion. And get this, that's the net worth LeBron James hit while he was still an active player in the NBA. He's the first person in league history to ever do that. It's just a wild number, right? And it tells you this isn't just about being good at basketball. This is about building a full-on empire from scratch.
So the big question is, how? How does a kid from a tough background in Akron, Ohio, become a billionaire king? Well, that's what we're going to break down. This is the almost mythic journey of LeBron James. We're talking about a path that took him from being this high school prodigy to a national villain, and then back again to a hometown hero, and finally a global icon. It's a wild story of pressure, failure, and yeah, a whole lot of triumph.
All right, so let's start at the very beginning, where this whole legend was born, high school. Because long before LeBron James was a pro, he was this phenomenon. He was carrying a level of hype that, honestly, the sports world had just never seen before.
I mean, just try to imagine this for a second. You're 16 years old, and Sports Illustrated, we're talking the absolute pinnacle of sports media at the time, slaps you on the cover with this title, The Chosen One. It wasn't like, is he the chosen one? No, it was a statement, a declaration. And right then and there, boom, the media circus was officially on.
The pressure on this kid was just insane. I mean, his high school games were being broadcast on national television, on ESPN, like they were professional events. It was pretty clear to basically everyone that this guy was destined for the NBA. So, of course, in 2003, it was a total no-brainer when his hometown team, the Cleveland Cavaliers, made it official and took him as the #1 overall draft pick. And right away, he lived up to all that hype. He wins Rookie of the Year and then goes on to win back-to-back MVP awards. He absolutely proved he was a superstar, a totally unstoppable force. But, and this is a big but, that ultimate prize, the championship, it just kept slipping through his fingers. It all came to a head in the 2007 finals, where his team got absolutely swept. Ouch. Okay, and this is where the story takes its first huge turn. After all those years of getting so close but falling short in Cleveland, he makes a decision. And this one decision would completely transform him from this beloved hometown hero into, well, pretty much the most hated man in sports. So in the summer of 2010, he decides to leave Cleveland. But he doesn't just do a press release. Oh no. He announces it in this controversial live 1-hour TV special called The Decision. And look, this was way more than just an announcement. It was a power move. It was a superstar player grabbing the reins of his own story in a way that just completely shook up the old guard of the league. And the backlash? It was immediate and it was brutal. I mean, the public perception shifted literally overnight. Back in Cleveland, he was the hometown kid, the prodigal son. But in Miami, where he was joining up with superstars Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, suddenly he's the villain, the ring chaser who abandoned his home and took the easy way out. The pressure to win a championship wasn't just a goal anymore, it was everything. He had to win. And then, his first year in Miami ends in a total disaster. They make it to the finals, but they lose. And LeBron's performance, especially in the clutch, was just heavily criticized. He averaged only 3 points in the fourth quarter of that whole series. Think about that. Many people still see that as the absolute lowest point of his career. The villain arc was in full effect, and he had failed.
But that's the thing about great players, right? From the ashes of that failure, a true champion was born. He took that humiliating loss and used it as pure fuel. The very next year, he comes back as a completely different player. He dominates the finals and finally gets that championship. And just to prove it wasn't a fluke, he did it again in 2013. The villain had figured it out. He had learned how to win.
So now he's got 2 rings, his reputation is kind of restored, and just when you think you know what's next, he makes another absolutely shocking decision that nobody saw coming. He was going home. And this was the ultimate test. He's back in Cleveland, and in 2016, his Cavaliers are up against the Golden State Warriors. Not just any team, this was the team that had just set the record for the most wins in a regular season. They were a juggernaut. And, predictably, the Cavs go down 3-1. Now you have to understand, no team in the history of the NBA Finals had ever come back from a 3-1 deficit. it was considered impossible. Game over. But he didn't just win. He put on what might be the single most dominant performance in finals history to do the impossible. Get this, he led every single player on both teams, not just his own, in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. That had never been done before. It was just a stunning, breathtaking display of all-around greatness.
And by pulling off the greatest comeback in finals history, he did it. He fulfilled that promise he made when he came back home. The villain was completely gone. In his place was the hero who finally delivered a major sports championship to the city of Cleveland for the first time in 52 years. The king was home, and he was redeemed.
But you see, fulfilling that promise wasn't just the peak of his career on the court. It was a major turning point. Because once he cemented his basketball legacy, it kind of freed him up to focus on building an even bigger one off the court. He started to redefine what an athlete could be in business, in charity, and in social activism. Yeah, he took his fame and leveraged it into a true empire. I mean, he became a billionaire, a successful producer in Hollywood, and a really powerful voice on social issues. He co-founded initiatives like More Than a Vote to fight voter suppression. He was using his platform to make real, tangible change in the world. And you could argue his greatest achievement off the court is the I Promise School right there in his hometown of Akron. And this is so important. It's not just about him writing a check. This is a deep, long-term investment in his community. The school provides education, sure, but also critical resources to help at-risk kids and their entire families.
So when you take all of this into account, everything on the court, everything off the court, it all leads to one of sports' most passionate, most heated, and probably never-ending debates. Is he the GOAT, the greatest of all time?
Now, if you're looking purely at the traditional stats, the argument for Michael Jordan is, well, it's powerful. You can't deny it. 6 championships with a perfect 6-0 record in the finals, more season MVPs, more finals MVPs. For a lot of people, that flawless peak dominance, that's the end of the debate right there. But LeBron's case is built on something totally different, something the league has really never seen before. Just this incredible, unprecedented longevity, this sustained excellence. We're talking about the NBA's all-time leading scorer, a guy who's been an elite, top-tier player for more than 2 decades, and is the only player to ever win a finals MVP with 3 different teams, which proves he could get it done, literally anywhere.
And that really brings us to the final, and maybe most important question. What truly defines greatness? Is it that peak, flawless dominance, that perfect record? Or is it something else? Is it 2 decades of elite performance, the ability to constantly evolve, and an impact that goes way, way beyond the basketball court? That's a tough one. And that, of course, is a question we're going to leave for you to decide.
Kanalımıza abone olursanız seviniriz. Görüşmek üzere. Hoşça kalın.